Good day to you, viewers out there, and welcome to another episode of your favorite show, Voices with Clara. I hope you're doing great and I hope you're keeping safe. I learned something today I want to share with you. Drink lots and lots of water. I didn't do it before, I just started and I see the difference. Please, guys, drink a lot of water. It's so important. It is so important for you. Guys, on set today we have an awesome person. Very wonderful. He's gracing our set today again, and I feel so honored. But you know what? I will introduce him to you right after the break. So, welcome back, guys. Before we went on break, we're looking forward to getting our topic of today and the awesome person we have in the house. Guys, from the last time, he was just a father, a good husband, a pastor, an IT guru. But guess what? Today, he just added another. He just had his doctorate in strategic management, right?
Sure.
So, guys, help me welcome Mr. Daniel Odukoya in the house.
Thank you so much. So great to have you. Thank you for letting me be here. Looking forward to another great conversation.
Of course. We always feel so honored having you in the house because you are full of knowledge. So today, guys, I will run straight into the topic we have in the house. And today we'll be talking about the differences between a woman and a girl. First of all, Mr. Daniel, we'd like to find out from you who, according to you, is a woman.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. I think looking at the difference between a woman and a girl, you have to understand the difference between a boy and a man because they're interconnected when you think about it. And so I think understanding a woman is, I like to relate everything biblically. And so when I think about a woman, I think about a woman who's grounded in the faith, who understands her identity in Christ. A woman is someone who lives sacrificially and who lives to empower those around her, her family, her husband, her children, and herself, and so a woman is someone who really empowers her home. A woman is someone who makes sure that those in her life feel the impact of her, of who she is.
Right.
And so a woman is selfless, a woman is loving, a woman is kind, and a woman is passionate. And so those are a few definitions of how I would describe a woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how will you describe a girl?
Well, a girl is still in development, right? You look at, I look at things holistically, and I think everyone's on some kind of journey. And so if you look at a girl, that's someone who is still very much, immature in a lot of different ways, still has some growing to do, still has some development to do. Now, we all have growing to do. We're all developing in some way. But if you look at, there's a certain threshold that happens when you go from a girl to a woman, when you go from a boy into a man. And so when I look at a girl, I say to myself that that's someone whose perspective hasn't enlarged to know that it's not just about them, right? A girl is someone who still needs the nurturing, still needs to grow, still needs the support to become the woman that she's meant to be. And so a girl is someone who can't handle the responsibilities of a woman. A girl is someone that still needs to be taken care of while a woman takes care of others, So drawing that divide between a girl and a woman, it's important to understand that a girl should one day become a woman. And so it's that process and that journey that they still need to go through to eventually become a woman.
Right. Okay. So, does womanhood have to do with age?
Not necessarily. I've always believed that, and this is my opinion on this, I really believe that when it comes to being a woman, it isn't necessarily an age, but a time that you get, that you mature into your identity. You know what I'm saying? Because there are people who are, if you look at it, in ancient times, people will consider a 12-year-old a woman. You know, they could literally get married at
Mm.
12,
Mm.
have babies, and they were considered women. And so for us, I don't think it's necessarily an age component, even though age does have something to do with it. I believe a true definition of being a woman is stepping into your identity of who you are and really operating as that. Because a woman has more responsibility than a girl. A woman, her perspective on life is different from that of a girl.
Mm.
And so it's not necessarily an age component, but it does have to do with it.
Okay. Okay. So you're trying to say, in a home, or if you want to compare some homes,
Mhm.
maybe you pick out like 5 homes, and you have home one has a woman, has a female of 12 years, and home two has 14, home three has maybe 18,
Mhm.
and just like that.
Mhm.
Are you saying if you look at the women, you could say, oh no, the 12-year-old is a woman?
Hmm.
It's more of a woman than the 25-year-old.
You know, when you look at womanhood and really understanding what's happened with womanhood and the process and the journey that we've taken as a society, looking at women, you know, there is a case where you can make a case to say that a 12-year-old can have more maturity than a 25-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
There is a case that you could say that 12-year-old is more of a woman than a 25-year-old. When you really understand, when we describe what it means to be a woman, when we fully say, okay, a woman is someone who's virtuous. A woman is someone who's empowering. A woman is someone who's caring. And if that 25-year-old hasn't developed those attributes at this stage, and that 12-year-old has developed more of those attributes, there is a case that we made that that 12-year-old is more of a woman than that 25-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at it, biologically speaking, they can do the same thing. They can have children. 12-year-old girl can have a child. 25-year-old person can have a child. And so really looking at it and saying, okay, if it's not biological, you have to look outside of that to really determine how you describe a woman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're taking it beyond the biological definition, because a female can have a child at any age. And so it's more than just the biological pieces that need to be in place to be considered a woman.
So it's more than just being married, and it's more than having kids.
Definitely, because even if you're married and you have kids, so a girl can get married, right? A girl can have kids. You know, there's something that I had developed called your relational age.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are 45 years old. That's their chronological age. They're 45 years old.
Right.
But relationally, they're still children.
Mm-hmm.
Relationally, their age could be a 10-year-old, because they don't understand what it takes to mature in relationships.
Right.
And I'll explain that like this. Imagine a situation where you have a 45-year-old man who is dating a 45-year-old woman, but relationally, they're self-centered. They are, they don't understand how to give.
Right.
They don't understand how to support. They've never been in a long-term, healthy relationship. So even though chronologically they're 45 years old, relationally, they're still children. They don't understand the maturity of what it takes to sustain a healthy relationship. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm looking at a woman versus a girl, there is someone who could be 35, 40, 50 years old as a woman. But if you look at her relationally, she doesn't know the things that it takes to support a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. So from that standpoint of a relational perspective, she's still a child. Mm-hmm. She hasn't developed the attributes to sustain a healthy long-term relationship.
Okay, so can you identify a woman, or can you differentiate between a woman and a girl from the outward appearance?
Well, I mean, I think because we live in a society that is so obsessed with the outward appearance, some people will say yes. You know, I look at certain attributes and I say that's a woman. Look at certain attributes, I say that's a girl. And if that is what we say, I think that dehumanizes, or that makes it, that does what women feel at times where we, you know, objectify them. We say that if you have certain attributes, you know, and they are appealing, then you're a woman. If you don't have these attributes, then you're a girl. And I don't think that that's given women the honor and the respect that they deserve by just looking at them physically to determine whether they're a woman or a girl.
Right. Okay. So as a pastor,
Mhm.
what do you think is best? Like your candid advice to a man out there who is getting ready to get married. Who should he go for?
Yeah, I mean, for a man who's wanting to get married, I've always believed that if there's a disparity, I believe that men have more options if you look at it than women do, right? Because you know the numbers say it, statistics show that in terms of what attributes people are looking for, there are more eligible women than there are men. Now, if I'm a man and I'm wanting to get married, I first have to understand that I can't get caught up in trying to date everybody in order to find my wife. I need to first understand what I'm looking for and who I'm called to. And so it's important for a man to first seek um, the understanding of, and the thing about it is that sometimes men will say, I want to date enough, or I want to get to a certain age or a certain, career to attain certain things before I get married. And I think that limits the opportunity. I think that as a man, he should really know who he is and know who he wants instead of wasting his time or that woman's time. He can be dating a whole bunch of women and say, oh, I don't think it's there. I don't think it's that person. I don't think it's that person before he finally settles down. So I think for a man looking for a woman, I think he needs to understand who he is and who he's called to and really seek insight from the Lord to know who he should pursue.
Okay. So here, can you be a little more specific in describing the difference between a woman and a girl? Like, when you talk of a woman is able to manage maybe us or manage people and manage herself, or maybe a woman is able to multitask. I like that word. So can you kind of pinpoint some of those things that you think a woman can manage more? Like, what are those things you think a woman would not do? And compare it to a girl.
Yeah, absolutely. So a woman, you think about it, a woman is fundamentally not about herself, right? Women are the most sacrificial, the most caring, most compassionate people you will ever meet. When you really understand a good woman, a God-fearing woman. And so a woman is someone who understands that her life is more than just what she does for herself. It's about empowering those around her. And so that is one big difference between a woman and a girl. A girl is still focused on me, myself, and I. What can I accomplish? What do I want to do? What do I need? A woman says, okay, what does it take to provide and to support those around me, my family? A woman says, how do I stand in a gap for my husband? Right. How do I make my husband, empower my husband to be all that he's meant to be? A woman says, how do I raise my children in a way that they can become all they're meant to be? So a woman's perspective is different from that of a girl. A woman says to herself, you know what? I know that my life is tied into how I impact others. And when people remember me, it's not going to be based on how I dress, how I look. It's going to be based on how empowered they were because they knew me. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so that's one big difference, like the purpose behind what you're looking for. A woman has a greater purpose behind her existence. A girl is still about what her purpose isn't elevated to that of a woman. A woman has a greater purpose for what she does, why she does the things that she does.
Wow, that is awesome. So guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We will take a break right now, but don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back, viewers. Before we went on break, we were loaded with information. If you didn't hear anything, you haven't missed out. We still have our tape. You can go back and listen to it. It was not easy on set today. We had a lot. And guys, if you take this advice, I am so sure your home will be. So, Mr. Daniel, we want to ask you our usual question. Please, can you give us an advice to some of us who are in our homes and we are still girls, and to those girls who want to graduate to women or to womanhood so they can find the right man, and also to your men out there who are struggling with maybe girls in the house and they want them to be women? Please, what's your advice?
Absolutely. You know, I remember when I was a child, they showed a video one day, and they showed a person who was a kid, and they showed him in the mirror, and in the mirror he could see his future self. And so he was a child, but he could see his future self in the mirror. And I think sometimes, you know, as a person, you have to imagine who you want to be. You have to see that person and say, what is it going to take for me to get to that point? Most people want to be better. You know, you want to have healthier relationships. You want to have a more satisfying life. You want to be more patient. You want to have less toxic relationships. But if the behaviors that you are exhibiting don't change, then those things won't change. So you have to first determine the outcome. What outcomes do you ultimately want? If it's a better relationship, if it's a healthier marriage, if it's a more satisfying life, if those are the outcomes, then the outputs have to change. The things that you do on a day-to-day basis have to lead to the outcomes that you ultimately want. Does that make sense? And so it's so important that you first decide, what outcome do I want? And then what does it take to get there? You know, you can mature into who you're meant to be. You know, the people around you, you have to get around the right people, because who you surround yourself with is where you're headed. Does that make sense? You've heard that saying, that it's very easy to tell where a person is going by who they surround themselves with. And so if you know that you want to get to this place where you want to be a better version of yourself, surround yourself with people who are going to get you there, people who may already be there. So surrounding yourself with the right people, having the right support systems, being intentional. It's day in, it's day out. It's the stuff where no one is looking. That's where true character is formed. True character isn't formed when everyone is looking at you. It's when no one is looking and you're still doing the same things. When no one is looking and you're saying, I am going to be this person. That's how true character is formed. And so have a vision of your future, step into it boldly. And even if you're a man and you're wondering, you know, I'm surrounded by people, I feel like they're girls, you know, I don't see women around me, or maybe you're married to a girl, or maybe you're dating someone you feel like is a girl. As a man, you are so empowered to be a leader. And women are leaders too, but understand, as a man, when you're with someone, you are called to help pull out the best in that person. Does that make sense? You're not just called to just be her boyfriend, or just be her husband, or just be the person that she's married to. You're called to help see her through God's eyes. And if you see her through the lens that God gives you, then you can call out the things that God is trying to call out. Does that make sense? If you only see her through physical eyes, if you only see her through the negative things that she does, you will never see the potential that she can be. So look through the lens that the Lord gives you and begin to call out those things that you know she's meant to be. And so we all have a role in this. We all have a responsibility. And so through doing these things, we can create better homes, better relationships, better families, and ultimately better marriages.
Oh la la, that was so awesome. Thank you so much once more,
Absolutely.
Mr. Daniel. I'm so happy you answer when we call. We really do appreciate, and we thank you so much for the knowledge.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful time. Looking forward to, you know, the impact that these videos are able to make.
Amen. Thank you so very much. So viewers out there, we've come to the end of this session, but not the end of Voices with Clara. You know, we always have a lot for you. Please hit the subscribe button and you will always get notification each time we post content. Thank you so much for your time. Please sit down and do a recheck to find out if you're actually a girl or a woman, or if you're dealing with a girl or a woman. And of course, there is always a solution to it. God's time is the best time. Guys, we'll leave you right now. We say we love you so much. Stay blessed, and God loves you more. Bye-bye.